Whether they involved a truck trying its best not to be blown to smithereens, iconic characters coming horrendously close to saying goodbye for good, or prehistoric menaces stepping into the kitchen for the very first time. This is Whatculture, and here are the most stressful movie scenes of all time. A silent birth, a quiet place. Take that intense scenario of a mother pushing out their baby, add in a terrifying alien creature that murders anything that makes even the slightest of sounds, and you have a recipe for a truly mesmerizing / horrifying scene. That's precisely what occurred during John Krasinski's first A Quiet Place picture. From the moment Evelyn's waters break, every second that follows feels like an agonizing lifetime. Things then go from bad to excruciating as Abbott only goes and pierces her foot on the gigantic nail protruding from one of the basement steps. That step on Lego times 1000 perfectly sets the stressful stage for the arrival of the aforementioned sightless creature, with each bathtub contraction, gasp and cry as Evelyn prepares for the inevitable big push, possibly being her last as the frightening monster edges closer. Thankfully, her clever family had some fireworks handy to draw the blind villain away just in time, but that still couldn't completely erase the memories of one of the most nail-biting births in movie history. Howard's luck runs out, uncut gems. Just when gambling addict / jeweler Howard Ratner's luck is seemingly finally in, life finds a way to throw him right back into a perilous scenario. And that's exactly what makes the final stretch of the 2019 Safdie Brothers Netflix thriller Uncut Gems so damn gripping. After choosing to bet the money that could have repaid his debt with the Mafia on a Boston Celtics game, Ratner foolishly decides to lock those same gangsters within his store's security doors. Oh boy, if the stress of witnessing a defiant Howard be dangled out of a window by the understandably incensed gangsters wasn't bad enough earlier, the subsequent minutes of a charming Ratner poking the bears within this particular cage becomes more unendurable with each passing moment. Then, after witnessing Howard's $1 million gamble remarkably pay off, all of that dreadful tension appeared to have actually been worth it. But rather than celebrate with this volatile character, an infuriated Phil opts to blow a hole through the slippery Ratner's head out of nowhere. It's a masterful and believable swerve conclusion to what initially seemed like a surprising happy ending for this doomed figure after the longest and most intense basketball game you'll ever see. The close call, Mission Impossible. Attempting to get his hands on an all-important list in Tom Cruise's first Mission Impossible outing, Ethan Hunt is lowered into a CIA vault that will set off a massive lockdown should a noticeable sound be made, or the temperature rise above a certain level. Oh, and if any weight hits the floor when CIA analyst William Donlow isn't present. Sure enough, just as Hunt looks to have somehow pulled off this suitably impossible mission, a rat entering the overhead duct results in disavowed IMF agent Franz Krieger almost dropping his pal onto the sensitive floor. The stress is real as Cruise jolts and winces inches off the ground while the temperature slowly rises, knowing a single bead of sweat could also blow the whole operation. Thankfully, a droplet is caught and Hunt is yanked back out of trouble just in time. But close calls do not get much closer. Enter the bear, Annihilation. After already losing one of their fellow Shimmer explorers during a shocking mutant bear attack earlier in 2018 sci-fi horror Annihilation, Gina Rodriguez's panicked Anya suddenly snaps after noticing her fingerprints are moving and decides to tie the rest of the team to chairs. However, just when it looked like Anya was about to start slicing up her defenseless former allies, a familiar voice wanders into the room. Cassie, presumed dead after that aforementioned bear encounter, seemingly calls out for someone to help her. But in a distressing turn of events, said freaky animal was simply using the dead geomorphologist's voice to lure in their prey. Anya takes the bait and an utterly petrifying few minutes ensue. From here, this grotesque disfigured carnivore stalks the three frozen women, letting out the occasional horrendous Cassie help me from its blood-soaked jaws. At any given moment, this nightmare fuel could very much add the rest of the squad to its list of victims, and it's those never-ending seconds of the creature slowly figuring out its next move that leave your heart sitting in your mouth right up to the point Anya makes a welcome return. The toy's in serious trouble. Toy Story 3. Anyone who was raised on the glorious adventures of Woody, Buzz and the gang in the 90s will likely tell you that 2010's Toy Story 3 contained one of the most traumatic movie moments of them all during its fiery climax, with the beloved clan of toys actually going out of their way to save the film's main antagonist, Lotso, from being shredded to pieces when the team end up at a landfill. The purple villain's betrayal moments later is even even harder to swallow. Leaving the cowboy and his mates on the conveyor belt dragging them towards a toy-ending incinerator, few will ever forget the stress that was felt watching Bullseye trying to wiggle away from a fiery death. The poor guy. Hands were held, tears began to flow. Surely it couldn't all end like this? Of course it didn't. The faithful Claw yanked them out of danger in the nick of time. But your childhood being dangled over a burning fire for a while there was about as stressful a cinematic experience as they come. Crossing the bridge, Sorcerer. The late William Friedkin's 1977 thriller Sorcerer tells the story of 4 men who find themselves in a South American village, with each of them eventually helping to move some dynamite from one location to another. Sounds simple enough. The only problem is that said explosives are sweating and are rather unstable, meaning that even the slightest jarring movement could set off the dynamite. So the squad set out on a 200+ mile journey in 2 trucks. What could go wrong? Well, during this extremely dangerous endeavor, the 2 vehicles end up caught in the middle of a massive thunderstorm. And if that didn't already make carefully driving these 2 highly explosive trucks somewhat difficult, the fact they were then faced with having to make their way across a pretty flimsy bridge swiftly turned a hard job into a seemingly impossible one. Even Ethan Hunt'd struggle. Every inch the heavy machinery travels along the rickety and slippery surface sends a shiver up your spine. Then after watching Roy Scheider incredibly get across the death trap, you're then treated to the other half of the unit going through the whole ordeal again. Hans Landa enters the farm, Inglourious Basterds. Unleashing a masterclass in tension, Quentin Tarantino gets Inglourious Basterds started with the arrival of the iconic Colonel Hans Landa, as the officer stops by the Lapidite farm for a glass of milk and a quick smoke. If only that were the truth. Instead, as the tension ever so slowly rises with the reveal of Landa being on the lookout for a Jewish family known as the Dreyfuses, it soon becomes clear that Denis Ménochet's Perrier Le Petit has been lying about what he knows about them. They're actually sitting right beneath the floorboards as they speak, adding a whole new layer of intolerable stress to the interrogation. After much deceptively charming and tense discussion, Landa finally offers Le Petit one last chance to confess in order to keep his own family safe. And as Perrier's silence grows more deafening, Landa precisely peels back the lies, asking his host to point out where they're hiding below them. While you dare to believe there's a world where Perrier could outsmart such a ruthless and clinical SS officer throughout, Landa was simply waiting for his moment to strike during the stressful opening, likely knowing all along that what he was looking for was literally right underneath his nose. The bathtub moment, what lies beneath. Robert Zemeckis' chilling psychological horror What Lies Beneath contains another bathtub moment that is guaranteed to leave you feeling all kinds of stressed out. In the wake of being paralyzed by her husband, Norman, not long after he admitted to killing the woman he was having an affair with, Michelle Pfeiffer's Claire Spencer is placed in a tub by said hubby. Here, the doctor proceeds to fill the container with water, as Claire can do nothing but watch on, completely frozen. As the water rises, so do the stress levels. Not even Norman knocking himself out after seeing the ghost of the murdered Madison, or Claire finally regaining the ability to move her foot, can stop the rapidly falling liquid from submerging the rest of her immobile body. And accidentally breaking the chain with her escape attempts seemingly acts as the excruciating nail in the liquid coffin. But just as Claire looks to be done for, the showerhead knocked into the bath by the slipping Norman comes to the rescue. Pulling it just enough to nudge the tap and slow down the water, Claire finally drains her aquatic tomb with one last plug pull, and both herself and the audience are given the opportunity to catch their breath. The Velociraptors arrive in the kitchen, Jurassic Park. Forced to sprint into one of the park's kitchens as the two realize they're not alone mid-feast, Tim and Lexi Murphy soon learn the hard way just how clever Jurassic Park's Velociraptors actually are. Every panicked scurry or fearful gasp feels like it could be the catalyst for another shocking dino dinner, with both the impressive CGI and practical versions of the pair of vicious killing machines fully convincing you that one accidental sound could bring this chaotic ride to a tragic end for the youngsters. The stressful and entirely iconic moment Tim almost ends up getting caught by a sniffing monster, before Lexi successfully just about distracts the two murderous beasties with a clever reflection trick alone, is Spielberg at his marvelous best.